NFL Nation, we are back. Coming off a pretty good week. Welcome to week 4, and now things start to get interesting. Now we know who these teams are. We're starting to get a sense of what teams can't cover tight ends, what teams can't stop the run, where we really want to target and look for things. So we're just starting to get enough data where we can really get into a real groove, almost into midseason form. Before we dive into this week, we do a little recap. I told you last week the Colts were going to win the game. They came through for me on the last play of the game, but they did it nonetheless. Great week for me. I hit a big parlay. For those of you who follow us on Twitter, you probably saw it. Dave, how did you do this weekend?
You know, a lot of the betting was good. I'll be honest, the DFS wasn't great. Some of my key plays, I thought, and I'm done at Soldier Field. I'm just telling you guys that now. David Montgomery, I thought was good, just like I thought my man early in the season from the Niners, Eli Mitchell, was. But that field's taken 2 out of play for me, so hard to come back from that. But I did have a couple other really good, solid plays, and the betting market, like I said, was really good.
I love it. Listen, I survived. I swapped out of the Chiefs pretty late. Went with the Vikings, and it wasn't an easy game, but I was on the right side of that, so I'm happy about that. Broke even in DFS. Anytime you can break even in DFS, I consider that a positive week. But, Joel, you kind of buried the lead here, man. It wasn't a big parlay. It was a effing monster parlay, man. You put out $100, you used the odd boost, and you won $10,000 on a parlay. So let's just, really give you a round of applause, man, for that. Betting markets has been good to me. Hit some props. Got the Ravens. It looked like I was asking people all week. I'm like, is this a sucker's play? Because the Ravens just look like a better team than the Patriots offensively. And I said, screw it. No matter what, I'm going with them. And I also went with the Rams against the Cardinals. I just feel like those 2 teams were really good. Lined up well. Cardinals, not a good team. Patriots, a decent team. Great coaching. But I took those 2 bets. We're happy about that. And now we're in week 4, man. Like you said, you got some DFS analytics behind us now. Some betting markets will open up. And like you also said, Survivor should be easier this week. But I want to make sure I'm knocking on some wood because it's always scary. I'm in a pretty big pool, still alive. So I'm happy about that, man.
I love it. And listen, at the end of the day, we were pretty hot last week on our picks for betting. Our DFS picks were a mixed bag. We had some really good plays, Dave drafted Russell Gage, who went off, who was a really good pick. I was on Carolina defense, which was a good pick. So we're finding those W's where we get them. We're going to get back at it this week. I think this week tees up a little bit better in terms of games to target and matchup. So we'll have fun drafting and putting those plays out there.
Before you go, I got a question for you. Who's a worse quarterback in the league right now, Baker Mayfield or Jameis Winston?
So in terms of
my bet of the week was Carolina. But I'm not going to say Baker outplayed him.
So Baker's bad, really bad, and you can't really play him in fantasy ever because they just don't have enough talent. But at least like Jameis is bad. He's going to throw a lot of turnovers, and you want to play the defense against him a lot. But Jameis can also put up the 300 and some touchdowns. So for fantasy purposes, there'll be weeks where Jameis will still be relevant because
real life though. Who's worse in real life?
Oh man,
Jameis.
I hope I'm not stuck with either of them in real life.
I think at least Jameis has the talent. Like how do you screw up Christian McCaffrey? And then how do you screw up DJ Moore, who's supposed to be a talent out there? I don't know. I think it's Baker's fault. Sam Darnold probably looked better. Whoever the quarterback was last year for some time was better. Anybody's better. Bridgewater better. It's a shit show in Carolina. They should not be winning games. They luck box themselves into a game. If you want to throw Russell Wilson on that list too, everybody can say that's an easy choice, but he's pretty bad too. And what he's actually worse at is not only the gameplay, but he put out another commercial today for Chipotle, and that shit was terrible. This guy is just stick to football, get off of social media, get your game right, and then go have fun later, man. The guy is terrible all around.
Yo, TikTok video he did last week, I cringed, man.
There's one this week that's worse.
Chipotle?
This Chipotle commercial looks like he's potentially a serial killer. That's how bad it was. It was awful, man. Awful.
The shame of it is with Russell is that they got a talented team too. they really should. Like, if he was playing decent, I mean, and some of it's coaching too. I think I don't want to put it all on him. Their coach looks pretty pathetic, but
Yeah,
if they put it together,
he's just as bad as Russ.
Yeah.
Hackett's horrible.
Let's get into Thursday night though, real quick. Line looks fishy to me. Dave, even though Joe's winning all the money, still consider you a betting expert as well. Miami +4 seems too easy. The Bengals are hurt offensively. They can't really move the ball. Joe Mixon, he's kind of like similar to Soldier Field. He's dead to me. Just that offensive line is terrible. Miami playing really good ball. Shocked to say it. +4 seems like too many points for the better team here, no?
It does. I think a little of this has some Tua insurance built in because I think if we knew he was full healthy, I'm still convinced he had some of a concussion.
Dude, definitely had a concussion. I don't know how he came back on the field. That was like the most shocking.
They say it's his back. Bullshit.
You don't stumble to your face because of your back, bro. No way.
I know. So I do think a little bit of that's built in. Let's also look at what Miami's been through. I mean, seriously. They had to go through Buffalo in that 99-degree heat. They had to battle with that tremendous Baltimore game. And then they had the rivals, New England, early on. They've been through kind of a gauntlet. Where, on the other hand, Cincinnati, listen to who they've had to face. Cooper Rush, Joe Flacco, and in, what was it, week 1? Who was the sub in that week?
Mitch Trubisky.
Trubisky, yeah. And I think, I think the line says Cincy. It really does, even though I think the better team is Miami.
Joel, you on my side? You're on Dave's side here.
I'm with the Tua question mark. I think if you get a fully healthy Tua, I think I like Miami, but I don't know what we're getting with Tua until I know that. If Tua even plays banged up, I think I would go on the Cincy side.
Okay, all right.
And Buffalo dominated that game. I mean, Allen threw for 400. They just got back to their sloppy ways of what they did last year, losing close games. I think they were 1-3 in games decided by 5 points or less last year, and then they win games big. They lose close games. And we all remember the KC game. So I still think they were the better team last week against Miami. Miami got lucky.
I don't know about lucky. I was kind of shocked to see that Tua consoling Josh Allen. I definitely did not see that. Definitely did not see that coming when the season started. But Joe, anything you like about, this Thursday night matchup, anything that you're eyeing from a prop perspective, a betting perspective? Are you just locked in on the Sunday slate?
So for Thursday night, I think it's really just Tua. I think if Tua is healthy, if we get reports that he's practicing and he's looking good to go, then I think these Miami receivers are gonna have a big day on Cincinnati here. I think this is an explosive team. They got 2 Pro Bowl receivers. Tua seems to be passing it well. So I really like this Miami team. Like you said, I think they're gonna be really dangerous.
Yeah, Tyreek Hill is already talking trash. He's got Eli Apple's number called. He's already calling him out. So. Look, the Waddle prop, we have our player prop model over on the Sharp app, also on WinDailySports.com. It is liking Waddle. Seeing a Prize Picks prop right now at 65.5. We have him projected for 74. That number may move up as well, depending on what goes down in the next couple of days. But, Joe, if you're ready to go, man, we can hop right into the DraftCast, get this thing cooking. Let me pull everything up here. And Dave, clear out these not so great lineups from last week. I think you got the de facto win just by not having Joe Flacco in your lineup or any other crazy plays that we all had. There's a lot of landmines. It was a low scoring, week. I don't know what I was thinking really with a couple of my plays. The Dortch and Hardman play late. Just kind of squeeze them in for value. Matt Collins, we were all on him by the end of the week, but I don't think anybody had him in their lineups. If you had Matt Collins in your lineup in this DraftCast, probably would have won all the money here. So, Dave, you get the first pick or you get to decide where you want to pick from. So let's see where we're at.
All right. I mean, 2 out of 3 weeks ain't bad, but I've been first and third when I won, not good in the second spot. So I'm going to go to third. I'm going to let you guys pave the way for me. I'll give Joel first pick and Jay second pick. Because I don't want you getting confused, Jay. When I put
I want to be in the middle, man. Give me the middle spot all day, every day.
All right, interesting. I was not expecting to get the first pick curveball, but I can pivot and I can be quick. And I am going to go with Stephon Diggs.
Nice.
So the reasoning for that is I don't think what we've seen so far is Baltimore's secondary is atrocious. Like they were last year. They can't stop anybody. And so if the Bills are going to go out, if the Bills are going to play the Ravens, the one thing we know about Baltimore is they're pretty good stuffing the run. So it's a funnel defense. You got to go to the air. And, if Buffalo's going to the air, you know what they're going to do.
Yeah, if you can rewind the show 15 seconds and just put Josh Allen as my quarterback, we pretty much have the same reasoning here. Look, quarterback's a little bit tough this week. The way the slate's been breaking down, you have a couple guys up top, but I want Josh Allen in my lineup. I don't think the price difference really affects things. Baltimore's defense, every single team is lighting them up. So Allen to Diggs, Allen to Gabe Davis. Got to check some injuries on certain players here, but Allen should be good for, let's call it 25-30 in this matchup.
Oh, I like it. You guys kind of went with my strategy last week. Those two are just, even like in a bad week or not so good week, Allen still sits there and puts up the second most quarterback points. A guy that just accounted for only 2 touchdowns, Buffalo only account for 19 points, still puts up 30. So you're right. I think in a projected shootout, those two are just prime plays. And I love it. But I'm also going to step on a prime offense, and you guys left him for me, and he worked out for you last week, Jay, but he didn't really run the ball a ton. I think Jalen Hurts is in play this week, averaging 30 points on DK. Jacksonville comes in with a very respected defense, and for that reason, I think we could get some low ownership on Hurts. Maybe not as high as he's been in the past few weeks. A lot of Jacksonville love. I think Hurts has another good game. I think it's with his legs this week. You got to choose versus the Eagles what you're going to do. Shut down the running game or shut down the passing game. Probably can't do both. So I like Hurts this week.
All right, man. Double up. Let's see what you got next.
Yeah, and I'm not ready to double stack yet. There's a lot of good value out there. I'm looking at one game in particular here, and I'm trying to decide if this is worth it or not. And I think I'm going to do it. I'm going to go. I think it's the first time we used him this year. I'm going to go Christian McCaffrey. We talked about a little bit how Baker is hurting his value, but in the end, this Arizona D, pretty bad, right? Now, they've been decent against the run, but the pass, they're 30th. So I think we can get some value in the passing game for once with McCaffrey this week. I think he's good value at 8,700. Yeah,
I'm going to go somewhat chalky here. Stack these top end guys. I think they're going to go off the board pretty quick here. Play a little strategy here. I'm going to go with Saquon. Best running back in the game right now. Best running back so far through 3 weeks. The offense rolls to Saquon. They have no wide receivers left. Kenny Golladay is just terrible. Shepard gets hurt. Wandell was already hurt. I don't even know who they're going to line up there, but they're going to have to feed Saquon the ball all downs, every down. So I think Barkley is going to be in a prime spot to smash again. I'm needing a value, so I'm going to have to go with some value spots. But running back right now looks a little tough, in that top range. So I'm going to go with some safety here. The fact that Barkley is still cheaper than McCaffrey, cheaper than Derrick Henry, I'll take that to the bank.
I like it.
I love it. And I'm going to go right here back to back. I'm going to go with my both of my value running backs. One's going to be pretty risky. And one I really like. The first pick is going to be Damien Pierce. He's shown that they're really getting him involved and we're featuring him. They're starting to feature him in this offense. He's pretty cheap for the amount of carries he's going to get. And, this even though that they look like a solid defense, this Chargers defense does not like to stop the run, right? That you can run on it. The way to beat them is on the ground. So that's what Houston's going to do. They're going to establish that ground game. So I like Pierce here at 5,600. And I'm going to pair him with the riskier play. It's going to be Khalil Herbert on the Bears. They're playing my Giants in New York, but Khalil Herbert looked great last week. They had 20 carries for 157 yards and 2 touchdowns. I have to imagine it's his job now, right? That's the rest that I guess he could still cede some carries to Montgomery if he's healthy, but Khalil Herbert looked great. And I think if it's his job and he's the bell cow, that price is too low.
Yeah, good pick. And now you're stinging me more with my Montgomery. He was in for a big week last week.
You had the right position, just the wrong guy.
Yeah. Darn fake field. All right, Jay, you're up.
I'm going to go with CD Lamb, just in the spot where you want to attack Washington. Terrible. You've seen what Philadelphia did, and really impressive about Philadelphia, even though I'm talking about CD Lamb now, is if you drafted any Eagles player, through 3 weeks, you've paid off fantasy value, from season long perspective. Jalen Hurts smashing. Each running back are having their day. Devontae going bonkers. Goddard's getting his. A.J. Brown's getting his. And I think whether it's Dak or Cooper Rush, I think CeeDee Lamb at 6,700, who's the prime focus of this offense, could have had 2 touchdowns on Monday night. Only got one. One was nice. The other one was a gimme, probably 50, 60-yard bomb that, Cooper Rush is actually outperforming Dak to some extent. So I think CeeDee Lamb at 6,700 in a dream matchup is a nice way to go, for week 4.
Yeah, they're bad. Washington looking DVOA, they're 28th against the pass. So talking about that, I'm attacking a team that's 31st against the pass, and that's the Seattle Seahawks. And I'm going to go with St. Brown. He didn't have his best week last week, but, a lot of that was based off him getting hurt. And I think the reports are all looking good. And still right now, it's sitting there, 7,700? I think he could be someone who is in line for a huge day against a bad Seattle secondary. Now, I spent a lot, so I'm kind of trying to decide if I go value here. But I think I'm going to stab one more expensive guy and then mix it up, and then I'll build everything around it. So that's my strategy here. And I will go A.J. Brown. It's been the Devontae Smith show the past few weeks. I think it's A.J.'s turn to come back and dominate. He's still 4th in the league in receiving this year with over 300 yards. He actually has more receiving yards than the entire Chicago Bears team. So he's one of 4 receivers doing that. So I think there's good value this week in pairing him with Hurts.
Now, with the Giants here, I really don't want to play 2 Giants, but since I went expensive here, kind of have to go on these Giants. Look, with Sterling Shepard now out, Kadarius Toney may or may not play. That will change things. I do think Tony's in a good spot if he comes back and somehow makes it on the field. Richie James also in a good spot at 4K. He's probably the safest of these wide receivers, as crazy as that sounds. I don't know what the hell they're going to do with Galladay in week 4. But let me go with the cheapest guy, David Sills. The only guy that I think the coaching staff doesn't hate at this point at 3K. I need value. He gets me 10 points. I paid up for a couple other spots. I don't like having 2 Giants in my lineup, but with how banged up they are, I will take it. Give me Sills, $3,000.
Nice. He had a handful of targets last night.
Yeah, I like it.
He did. He's the only guy that they don't hate, and he might be wide receiver 1 because Galladay is terrible, man. Like, he just dropped wide open passes. He's talking trash. Probably the worst contract. This might be, when it's all said and done, like close to the Bobby Bonilla Mets contract with Galladay. It's like that bad, where he does nothing good for the team. So we'll see what happens. Sills might be wide receiver 1 for Daniel Jones offense. Not the greatest thing, but at 3K, I think it can work.
As a Giants fan, the one thing I'm hanging on to is while they had some really pathetic contracts right now, I think they did draft pretty well recently. So I think in a couple of years, when they get rid of all these bad contracts and these young guys start to come to be, they're going to have all this money to spend. The Giants are going to be a team to contend with. So give them two more years and the Giants are going to be in good shape. But for this week, I'm going to go ahead. With my first pick here, I'm going to take a tight end. I'm going to go with David Njoku. He looked like he was their go-to guy last week. They gave him 10 targets. He caught 9 balls. They got him really involved. And I think they're going to score points, right? I think I want to target this team in what looks to be a pretty fantasy-friendly matchup with this Atlanta team. It doesn't look like they can stop much. I'm totally okay with you targeting the running game in this game as well because, Cleveland loves to run the ball. But for me, I'm going to go with Njoku at a pretty fair price here at 3,700. And then I'm going to follow that up. We were talking about it before the show started a little bit. I'm going to play the defense that's got Baker Mayfield, who looks terrible. I'm going to go with Arizona defense. I mean, Baker Mayfield can't do anything. So you figure there's got to be a good chance that they get a turnover or something, and getting them under 3K at a good price here as well.
There you go. Let's stay in the shootout. Let's go with the best receiver in the game right now, Mark Andrews. Guy's been dominating, man. It's pretty crazy what he's been doing. Just rumbling down the field, making nice grabs. It's kind of like a backwards build here with Josh Allen. Playing Josh Allen naked at this point, but going Mark Andrews at 7,100. The guy just smashes every week, man. Him and Lamar just doing their thing. And Duvernay's out there doing his thing, and Bateman's involved. But it's really the Mark Andrews show. So tight end's been sketchy outside of Njoku and a couple other players. Njoku looked great. Great call at 3,700. But give me some safety, 7,100. Kind of building this more as a single entry. Make sure I beat Dave and Joel lineup than a GPP lineup right now. So give me Andrews at 7,100.
I like it. How can we go wrong? I can't believe nobody's used him yet this year. So I think that's
I guess that's how it goes wrong. You just jinxed me, bro. There you go.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's perfect. All right, you guys have taken a lot of good value, especially two great targets at the tight end position. I'm going to stick with a game stack here, and I'm going to go back to the guy that failed me last week. But I'm going to go Evan Ingram. Going into last week's game, he was targeted an average of 8 times per game. Last week, he only had 1 catch for 9 yards, but he did have a touchdown that they reversed that would have got us our value. So he's still getting some opportunities, 12 for 83 on the year. At this point, 3,400 game. So I'll take Evan Ingram as one of my value plays. And that leaves me with another here. And I'm going to do it. I'm going to go Noah Brown. You talked about it earlier, how bad Washington is on the back end here. If it's not CeeDee Lamb, Brown's getting the next amount of targets. Rush looks like a decent quarterback. Can I say it? And I think he's going to get Brown at least 6-7 targets, upwards of 10 is a potential here in that game.
I like that play. I need safety. I need some discounts on the board. I know they're a bad team overall, but the matchup is good for them defensively against Pittsburgh. So give me wait, hold up. I don't know if I want to. Hold on. I was going to go with the Jets here, but they're kind of terrible at the same time. So it kind of worries me. And I know our guy Sticks was talking about playing some Trubisky here. So it could be a bad spot. But no, you know what? I'll stay with the Jets here. Hopefully they get a turnover off Trubisky. 2.6. I need value with the way I built. Anything over 5 points, I'm happy with. If they get lucky with Trubisky turning the ball over, I can pay off a nice little salary here. Cardinals definitely the better play at 2,800, but give me the Jets. Trubisky's not that elusive or that talented to really break a slate on me, I don't think. But I know Sticks likes him, so it's kind of scary to go against Sticks, but at 2,600, got to take some chances.
Yeah, I mean, they're 32nd past DVOA, so I can see why Sticks might like Pittsburgh in this matchup. But like you said, 5 to 8 points, you're in good shape.
Yep.
All right, Joel, you for 2.
Oh, that brings on me. All right. So, all right, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to have to get creative in my salary savings, but I'm going to go. It just seems like too much of a smash play to pass up here on Jonathan Taylor. Jonathan Taylor is still the best running back in the NFL. This looks like a smash opportunity, what we've seen thus far. Tennessee's defense has been burned by running backs all year. And I think, this Colts offense wants to get him the rock. So I know you got to pay up for him, but I think he's due. This is a guy who could finish the year as, should probably finish the year as the number 1 back in the league. And this looks like a spot where he can go off in a big way. And then for my second pick here, I'm going to go with what looks to be, I'm hoping, the new number 1 receiver on the Green Bay Packers and Romeo Dubes.
Yeah.
Ran the ball a bunch yesterday or this weekend. If he's the number 1 guy in Aaron Rodgers' offense, he's going to be a problem at this price that we're getting him. This is even against a New England team. This is a great number.
I love it. I wrote down Dubes or Brown, and I was on the fence at either one where I wanted to go. So I'm glad we're on the same page. Good pick.
Let me go with Devin Singletary, kind of stacking this game. So I got Allen and Singletary together with Mark Andrews, stacking the game up. Singletary caught a bunch of passes. Hopefully that continues in week 4. He's getting the goal line work. He's involved everywhere in this offense. And like I said, for him to be getting 11 targets last week, I'm not saying that's going to happen again this week, but each week he's got at least 2 to 4 targets. 11 in his last one, caught for 78 yards. So if Baltimore keeps this game close or somehow takes the lead, gets some dump offs to Singletary. Running back's rough, man. It really doesn't look anything great in this mid-range. So I'm going to go with a guy in one of the highest scoring offenses in the highest game script, potentially at 5.9. Play the safety. Again, I'm just trying to beat two people. Content selection is key to this. So I want, some points. I got my studs, and I need value spots next. So going to need some time on the clock here with my last two picks.
All right. I like the pick. I'm going to add in this is scary. I get it, but it's a tight end from the Patriots, and understanding that Mac Jones is out probably gives some pause for concern. But there's also good news with Henry. He's playing a ton of snaps. He's playing about 67% of the snaps for the Patriots. And when you get in a situation with a younger QB, their safety blanket is normally a tight end. In a game that I do expect there to be some margin to and some passing, I'm banking on some maybe garbage points here at the 2,900 value. Only 3 receptions on the year. It doesn't sound like that should continue, right? I mean, he's better than that. It's going to take someone else to get him the ball, and I think that happens this week. I think 2,900 is a good play for Henry in a game where they have to pass. All right.
Yeah. You got a second pick here?
I do, and that's where I'm on the fence if I'm spending the 27, but I think I'm going to. Yeah, let me do it. I'm going to go and play the Chicago Bears defense here against Danny Dimes. I know they're on the road, but the guy I think was under pressure, I want to say 32 times last, something absurd. It was the most in his career. You saw every single Dallas defender in the backfield. The Giants still haven't figured out that offensive line. I think the Bears can create some pressure like you, Jay. I'm just shooting for an 8-point target here, and I think we can get that against the Giants.
You didn't think you should go for a receiver named Brown?
Yeah, I didn't even see that. Yeah, I like it. What can Brown do for you?
Let me I know it's early on a Tuesday here. Have we heard any reports from Dawson Knox at this point? Is he good to go? Is he limited at this point? What's your thoughts, Joel? Have you heard anything on him?
From what it seems like he's hurt but playing is what I've read so far. But we'll see closer to Sunday. But as of now, it looks like he's gonna try and play.
All right. As long as I have an option to remove this guy out of my lineup, like Sia said, I'll send a tweet out on Saturday night. Dawson Knox, 3,800. Now I got my awkward-looking stack with Dawson Knox, Singletary, and Allen, but I do have Mark Andrews running the back. So I need salary saving. Dawson Knox, 3,800. Let him catch a touchdown. Let him catch 4 or 5 passes for 50 yards, and hopefully finds the end zone.
I love it. Well, for the same reasons that you took, Dave, I'm on Ross St. Brown. I'm going to go with Jared Goff. I think they're in a great spot this week to have a big day. So I like this Lions offense, and they have a lot of good backs, but Swift might be hurt, so they might have to rely on the passing game even a little bit more. And then when I take Goff, I'm going to pair him with one of his receivers. I'm going to go with Reynolds. Reynolds had 10 targets last week. I know Amon-Ra Brown was a little bit banged up, so maybe he got some more looks, but going off the guy who got 10 targets, I think it's a kind of a crapshoot, who they're going to go to between Chark. Amon-Ra Brown's the number one to play, but I'm hoping maybe Reynolds is climbing up their depth chart, and if he gets targeted again this week, he can have a big day.
All right.
There you go, man. You made those picks happen too quick. I got 4,500. Staring at the board right now for a player here. All I'm seeing is more Giants players, which is not a good thing. But I would normally go Richie James here at $4,000, but I already got 2 Giants in there. Not going to go with Marvin Jones or AJ Green, so I'm kind of stuck in a bad spot here. Cash management was not a good thing here that I did. Let me get your guys' help here. Matt Collins had a monster game, but it looks like Renfro is going to be back this week. Your guys assuming, right?
I would assume we won't know, but I think he's trending to come.
I think so too, and that's it. Yeah.
So I'll go with Nico Collins here against the Chargers. Look, if the Jags can throw on the Chargers here, and the Chargers dealing with a lot of injuries on the defensive side, I don't know what's with that, but they can never really stay healthy. So give me Nico Collins. Leaves me with $5,000 left over. Bad cash management on my own. Should either went cheaper or more expensive with a couple plays. I got $500 left over, which is not terrible. But there's really nobody else in that wide receiver slot that I like. So my big dog's going to have to carry me here. So give me Nico Collins, 4,000 to round out this lineup.
All right, Nico Collins. Oh, man. I actually am the one. I thought I had 5,000 left. And to leave myself with only 4, that's the bottom of the barrel of running backs.
At a running back? Oof. That's kind of terrible, bro.
It is. And I'm trying to look now. I definitely fumbled the ball on this one.
Who can fall into the end zone at 4K? Let's see.
Yeah, I think I'm going to have to just roll the dice on this one. But, Joel talked about it earlier. At least he has a touchdown this year. Xander Horvath.
Who the hell is that? You got Justice Hill. You got a couple of runs on Sunday.
He was the first touchdown scorer on that Thursday night game, I think, at like 20-something to 1. It was ridiculous. So it's ridiculous that I left myself with that. But that's all right. I can get 0 in some weeks and still maybe win. I just got beat 2. That's what you said.
Yeah, I don't like that. But, Joe, let's talk about our stacks, man. We got some lineups. We were messing around, building some lineups on a Tuesday. As far as stacks go, as far as injuries go, Saints, Vikings, look, the Saints can't score. That game's in London, so it's not even on the main slate. Don't really got to worry about that. Chargers, Texans, any love, for Herbert with Keenan Allen back to kind of right the ship here, another week of rest. Do you like them potentially as a stack?
I think right now I want to wait and see that Herbert's healthy because obviously when he's not healthy, he didn't look like himself. Now this Texans matchup is really beatable, right? It's a good matchup, and if there's news that comes out that says Herbert's 100%, then yes, I'll be on them and I'll be stacking them. But I need to hear that news before I target Herbert this week.
Hey, yeah, one player we didn't mention that I think should be in most lineups here is Jamal Williams, 6,100. As long as Swift is out, which is looking like it's going to be, Williams at 6,100, probably one of the best values to the board at the running back position. Lions in a good spot with Amon-Ra. Hawkinson, 4.1, makes sense. Dave, Eagles. Is this a game that you're looking to stack up here? Lawrence has been better than most people would have thought. The Eagles have been great, perfect at this point. Are they in for a potential stack against the Jaguars?
Yeah, I do. I really think so. I go back, take out what you saw because it's Matt Ryan and the Jags shut him down. Take out what you saw last week with Herbert because broken rib cartilage hurts, right? And it sucks. And go back to the real one game where they faced a decent quarterback, and he's really not decent, but better than those two. Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz threw for 4 touchdowns against this defense. I do think this is a potential high-scoring game stack type of game. So I do like the Eagles in this one. And I do think you can get away with stacking multiple players here. So Jacksonville wasn't great against the run in the past, too. So I think we could get back to Miles Sanders' game, too. So my suggestion, decide which way you want to go. If you want Hurts in the running game, I'm good with it. Hurts in the passing game. Just don't mix the running and passing game. Pick one or the other.
Sounds good. Now, hey, Joel, I know.
You're fast.
All right, go.
We got some questions in the comments. I just wanted to answer one of them.
Okay.
Clamped EZ is asking about a trade offer, and I'll throw it to you guys. He's getting Aaron Jones for Kareem Hunt and Gabe Davis. Should he accept? For me, that's a no. I think there's too much value in Aaron Jones. You need to win with fantasy with bell cows.
I think he's getting Aaron Jones. If he's getting Aaron Jones,
yes, I'm in.
Yeah, I would say take Aaron Jones and run.
Mm-hmm. Run.
Your thoughts, Joel?
Mostly with you. The only reason I wouldn't do that trade is if you already have good running backs, because Gabriel Davis is good too. So if you need receivers, then maybe that's not the best play. But if you need a running back, then that's a no-brainer.
Yeah, Joel, I was going to ask you, Jets Steelers. I know Sticks is going to be on Mitch Trubisky somehow, some way, and this passing game. But I wanted to ask you about the Cleveland Browns, Atlanta Falcons. I actually stacked Mariota with London and Kyle Pitts in my main lineup on Sunday. Worked out well. But I never, ever, ever, ever play Cordarrelle Patterson. How good? Like, this guy's actually good. Like, there's at a certain point, like, I'm going to have to, like, for a year now, like, I haven't played him. I laugh at everybody playing him who's winning all the money. And then he goes out there week after week and nobody plays him. His price never really goes up and he smashes. Now this offense is like productive. Mariota productive. I don't think anybody drafted Nick Chubb, who's also in a great spot. He's been playing well. What's your thoughts on this Browns-Falcons game?
I think it's an interesting spot. We no one drafted Chubb, but I did mention that you want to target this Falcons defense. The running game is certainly in play. Like I took Njoku just because I wanted some exposure to the Browns offense. But I think anyone on the Browns really can be in play because this Atlanta team doesn't look like they can stop much. But the other side, you're right. I think the athleticism of Mariota is really also going to help the running game, right? Because it's not just one person to respect. Now there's multiple guys in that backfield defense have to respect, which is going to make things, open up the field even more. So, and let's not forget, they don't just run the ball; they'll throw the ball to the backside of the backfield. So, I actually think this game, it's matchup specific. I'm not going to be playing Patterson against any defense, and this is one that's a step up, right? It's not quite as weak of a defense as they played last week, but I still think he's a good player and he's in play.
All right, Dave, this is your division, NFC East. Cooper Rush, Tony Pollard. I was kind of itching to play maybe Zeke and Pollard. I think they're both valuable, depending on who falls in the end zone more times. CeeDee Lamb, good value, 6.7. We might get Michael Gallup back. I saw him running some routes. If Gallup plays, how much does that affect the Noah Brown, the CeeDee Lamb? Dalton Schultz was also out last week or 2 days ago or yesterday, whatever day it is. How much does that muddy the water for these Cowboys? I picked Lamb, but, Gallup and Dalton Schultz are knocking on the door for targets here.
Yeah, I think if anything, it might take, a little off Noah, but more off CD. And the only reason I say that is because Rush and Noah Brown came up together on the practice squad. Then Rush gets cut. He's got a lot of familiarity and a lot of confidence in Noah Brown. If you saw the slant down near the end zone, not open, throws it anyway because he knows Noah's going to get it. So I still think as long as Rush is the quarterback, there's good value in this passing game. And I still would rely on Brown. Gallup, good player, right? Marginally better than Brown for sure, but I think it could take some time to get back in. We saw this with receivers already. We saw what happened with a guy like in Tampa with Godwin. You come back a little early, the rust is there, and then you could even, re-aggravate it. So I'd be careful with Gallup this week.
Joe, last question I'll ask you. The ownership of this Baltimore-Buffalo game is going to be through the roof. Like Diggs, Jackson, Josh Allen, name your guys, Mark Andrews. We got a lot of them in our lineups. It's going to be the highest owned stack of the entire slate. Are you fading it? Are you going over the market on there? And then who are you prioritizing from a quarterback perspective between Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen? And then how do you rank out these pass catchers and running backs for both teams?
So I'm not going to fade it, but if you're playing multiple lineups and you're playing GPPs, it's certainly worth having at least some of your lineups fading it because you're right. It's going to be rare. It'll be unique. And if it doesn't, because let's not forget, while Baltimore really is terrible stopping the pass, they have a decent run D. I mean, and Buffalo does have a good D. There is a possibility that this game isn't as explosive as everyone thinks. I think it's going to be, but there is that possibility. And that's a strategy for GPPs that can get you a big edge. However, I will be targeting this game because it does seem like it's going to be explosive. I love Diggs. I love everyone, all the pass catchers on the Bills. I will go less toward the running game and more towards Davis, Diggs, even Knox if he's healthy. McKenzie's in play. And the same goes on the other side. I think it's going to be tough to run the ball on this Buffalo D. And they had a lot of injuries in their secondary. So if they're still banged up in the secondary, same goes. I think Andrews is going to feast. If you want to get sneaky, I think their backup tight end, Isaiah Likely, who's been getting a lot of looks, could be a fun, sneaky, cheap option to get some exposure to this game. And then, of course, the regulars, right, with Bateman and even Duvernay if you want to go there as well.
Yeah, quick question. Yvonne has one for us. What do you guys think of trading Mike Evans and Antonio Gibson to get Diggs? I probably go out there and get Diggs if you can, man. Like,
yes,
it don't matter. He's the prime guy in this offense. Evans, great player. Gibson, overrated. And Robertson is coming back sometime. He was on the field running, so he might be back sooner than later. So if it's pretty much Evans for Diggs, and I'll take that any day of the week. even though Evans could be in a bright spot with Tom Brady because they need some wide receiver help there. But I lean getting Diggs. Quick survivor picks. You guys helped me out last week. Joe, you kind of nailed it off air before we came on. Green Bay is going against Brian Hoyer. They couldn't really score with Mac Jones back there. They're coming in as a 10-point favorite. Is that the clear cut? Let's go with Green Bay after he beats Tom Brady. Now he comes back and beats Belichick in the following week. Is this the easy one?
I think this is a no-brainer pick this week. I think the only issue, not real issue, but I think they're going to 90% of the picks are going to be on Green Bay this week. I mean, it's just an obvious play.
Dave, if we're not going Green Bay, or say somebody out there already used Green Bay, probably a good time to go with the Eagles, or the Jaguars scare you a bit. Is there another team out there that you think is in a prime spot? If you didn't take the Chargers last week, maybe go to Chargers this week. Maybe the Dolphins. Who else do you like if it's not the Packers?
Yeah, and this isn't Homer talk, but it is the Eagles, and a lot of it is based upon Jacksonville's travel schedule. They've been kind of Washington to Jacksonville, out west to LA, back east to Philly. They're on the move a lot, and this is an emotional game. Jacksonville's coach was the Eagles head coach when they won the Super Bowl, Doug Peterson. So we saw what the Eagles got up for last week when Wentz was in town, 9 sacks. So I feel like this is a better spot for the Eagles and a tough spot for Jacksonville. Two big emotional wins in a row. But I also like the Lions a little bit. I think, we're starting to learn that Dan Campbell has his team ready to play every single week.
Not in the fourth quarter, though. Remember,
not in the fourth. I agree with that.
Bro, it's crazy how many games they should have won in the past 2 years and haven't won. It's nuts.
And he gambles too much, right? I mean, he had an onside kick early in the Eagles game I hated. Last week, a 4th and 1 that, should have just kicked the field goal. So he's still doing a little too much goofy stuff. So I hear you, but it's Geno Smith, man. I still think they can win this one, and maybe even with margin. But it all revolves around Swift, like you were saying.
Now, I will add this. I'm not saying I think Geno Smith is good, because I don't. But he was decent last week, and this Lions defense is not good. So they have some good pass catchers, and the point of it is, for a guy who's going to be unowned at the minimum price where you can really stuff in all these higher priced guys, I actually think Geno Smith could be a dart throw GPP quarterback this week.
Yeah.
He only has to get you 2 touchdowns and 270 yards, and that'll do it.
Joel, I lied. I'll ask you one more question. Who's your buy low candidate? Because a lot of people have been asking trade questions. Who's your buy low candidate that you might be looking at for trades, but also somebody that's going to be under-owned this week in DFS that you think could be the difference maker on like a milli maker or a big GPP lineup? Somebody who hasn't looked good through 3 weeks, but you see the upside not only week 4, but for the future of the year.
I mean, it's an obvious one for me, right? It's the guy I drafted, Jonathan Taylor. I mean, he hasn't been what the Jonathan Taylor we thought he'd be so far. People are probably starting to get down on him, but I think this is a great spot for him to rebound and really go off.
Dave, same question to you. Who is it? Can't be any Eagles because they're all looking pretty good right now.
No, I mean, I still think, it depends what you say about Derrick Henry, because last week he did tend to, perform to his expectation. But I still think there's value in Derrick Henry this year. If you could get him for cheap, I think, long-term, just remember that division is really bad. Someone's going to win probably 8-9, 9-8. And Tennessee's going to at least be a factor, even though they're not great. So I like Henry.
There you go, man. So that's pretty much the show.
I want to just note one thing, Jay. I know we're talking Buffalo, Baltimore, and I know we're talking Eagles, Jacksonville. Just be careful of the weather this weekend, everyone. Hurricane Ian might be hitting up here, and it could make a complete mess on the East Coast. So just be careful. You'll probably know that by Sunday, but if you're west of the East Coast, you might not really realize how much rain could be coming. So keep an eye on that.
So there's one more trade in here. I just traded Najee Harris and Pittman for Justin Jefferson, Kareem Hunt, and Kenneth Walker. How'd I do? Full PPR league. I think you nailed this. Jefferson over Pittman, Kareem Hunt, and Kenneth Walker. Walker looked good in his couple touches last week, and Najee Harris kind of on a downfall, on a bad offense, potentially hurt. So you guys agree? Good trade on this guy's end?
Yeah, for sure. I generally say if you're getting the best player in a fantasy trade, more often than not, you're winning the trade.
Especially in football with shallower lineups. So for me, Najee, it was a do not draft list for me. And I play in a lot of fantasy football leagues. There's just too much there. So for you to be able to get rid of him and turn in someone I would have picked in the top 3 or 4, absolutely. I think it's a home run. You could have done Najee and whoever the other was just for Jefferson. I thought you win.
Dave, just so you know, 3-0 in our Win Daily League right now. So sitting pretty right now. What are you, 2-1 or 1-2? What do you got?
2-1.
All right. We don't match up this week, do we? Or are we in this together yet or no?
No, I don't think so. I got I might have the guest team this week.
The guest team? Oh, all right. Anybody we're looking to pick up this week or no? Because I might need some pickups here. My team is dying quickly.
I don't want to. I have one that's in here, so maybe I shouldn't say it since it's sitting on the waiver. But hint, it's someone that Joel drafted. So.
Romeo Dubs, yeah, Romeo Dubs out there on the waiver wire.
I have.
Oh, no Dubs.
Will Herbert.
No,
Herbert's already rostered. Matt Collins is available.
It's in Joker.
Romeo Dubs.
Njoku.
I see who it is. David Njoku.
Yeah,
he's down there. Tyler Conkin's available. Zay Jones. Trevor Lawrence, if you need a quarterback. Richie James, kind of, I guess, interesting. Craig Reynolds is being picked up. I guess he's the backup to Jamal Williams in Detroit. But yeah, I think you nailed it. Njoku in a great spot. I might try to get Romeo Dubs. Is there any future value in Matt Collins?
I have Romeo. Be easy.
What?
I got Romeo.
Yeah, maybe I'm looking at the wrong league then. Hold on.
No.
Yeah, I'm looking on the other sleeper team. All right, Let's see who's available. Any value in Matt Collins, Joel, moving forward, or is this just he's done it for 2 weeks. When Renfro was there, he still did it. And not saying he's more talented than Devontae, but he made some tough catches and he was involved. Where do you think he goes moving forward?
I mean, if you can get him for not like all your fab, he's worth a flyer. It's definitely worth going after, but I don't think he's going to end up being the number 1 receiver on this team, right? I think, that's going to more average out to Devontae. So I think you're buying his peak more than, buying him on the rise. But yeah, I mean, if you can get him for cheap or he's, a couple bucks, it's worth it. But I wouldn't go all your fab for him.
All right. Well, that's pretty much it. Dave, anything you want to add? Joel, anything you want to add before we head out of here?
No, man, just really that weather is something that concerns me because I just think we could find some game stacks that we might have to shift off of. And I really like where your guys' mind is at in that Atlanta game. I think that could be a key sneaky stack. So keep an eye on that one. I think in the dome, that's a great spot.
Yeah. Right. The biggest advice, if you're having trouble with the weather, look at the over-unders on Sunday morning, Saturday night. It'll be adjusted for the weather, and then it'll tell you what games to target.
Yeah, and make sure you check out the PJ DraftCast tomorrow. You guys have been nailing it with the college football shows on Friday. Tony will be doing a show for the island games of Thursday Night Football. Sunday Night Football, we'll have our live stream Sunday morning at 11 a.m. Use promo code WINBIG at WinDailySports.com to lock in for free. Check out projection models, hop in our expert chat, optimizers, articles for every single positional breakdowns, every sport. NBA's right around the corner. NHL's right around the corner. And there's a thing called MLB still. Hopefully next week when we're having this show together, the Mets are winning the division still. If not, I'm going to be kind of angry about that because it's been kind of shitty the last couple. They keep on winning and the Braves keep on winning. It's like so unfair. Like we can't have our glory one time. Joe, your Yankees are looking pretty good, man. So they got the ship back on track. And hopefully Aaron Judge hits a home run one of these days, man. And he's kind of, I wouldn't call it slumping, but pressure is mounting to kind of hit that home run. So we'll see what happens there. Everybody, good luck this week. Be safe if you're down there in the Florida area with the hurricane, and be safe with your lineups too. And weather definitely affects play down there. So make sure you check out the weather, going into Sunday slate. But we're out of here. Good luck for the rest of your week.